a few of your own ideas. So what you'll need is certainly have your diary and your pen handy to take notes as we go along. Okay, so we'll get started. What I want to firstly highlight are the challenges that are ahead that you guys will be facing, whether that's, with your school, particularly important if you're coming into your high school years, as well as trying to play sport at a really high level. There are certain challenges that will come about as you go along, and essentially that's an increased demand on both ends. So you'll start to have a lot of coaches telling you need to do more training, you need to attend more, you need to get the best out of yourself, try out for this team, whatever it may be. You'll also have your teachers and maybe your parents as well saying, look, you need to do more homework each night. So your demands are going to increase on both ends, and what that can mean is all of a sudden deadlines start to appear, whether it's an assignment or an exam that's coming up. Maybe you have rep trials going on, and so this can lead to pressure periods that start to come out in your life. And what that means is sometimes we just get a little bit stressed with everything we're doing. So whether that's, trying out for a team and being really nervous, or sitting in an exam, and there are certain aspects of that, but it can start to stress us out, and sometimes we panic a little bit. So what I want to make sure is that even if you're not quite there yet and you're not sitting exams, or you're not playing rep cricket, it doesn't matter, because this is what we're all striving for, and it's why we're here. So I want to make sure that we're aware of all these challenges, and hopefully you'll be able to find different ways that you can go about it, and hopefully overcome those challenges when they come about. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably dealing with some conflicting commitments with everything you're doing. Maybe you're playing multiple sports. I know that's a really common thing for kids aged 12, 13, 14. And it can become a bit of a juggling act. But essentially over the years, what's going to happen with your life is your commitments will usually and always increase. And then your availability will basically decrease. So it's about using that time that you've got around you. But as I mentioned, sometimes it can all build up. But I just want to make sure today that what we learn is we never feel consumed, or we're never overwhelmed or overawed by everything we have to do. I want to give you some practical ways and manners that you can actually go about your business, and to actually accept these challenges and take them head on. With my schooling, I was really fortunate to have a lot of opportunities. I was school sports captain, first 11 cricket captain, first 18 football captain, a house leader, and that was actually all on top of my academic commitments. So it's basically, these are ways I've learnt to deal with these pressures, and sometimes I've actually had to learn the hard way, which I'm sure, Hammer, you've been in that boat as well. But sometimes you burn the candle at both ends, and it can be hard to figure out a balance that works for you. And I never really had someone to tell me this is how to do it, but these are ways that I've dealt with it. So hopefully you can find your own. And at the end of the day, this is actually, we're in a really privileged position here. Not many people have access to really good education, or to such amazing sporting opportunities and facilities like we do in this country. So it's a real privilege, and never take this for granted. And I want you to try and look at this as just a great opportunity that we have to improve, and to hopefully get the best out of ourselves, and enjoy everything that we are doing with sport and with our academics as well. Alrighty, so we'll move on, and I'm going to talk you through just 5 key aspects of your life, or 5 different ways you can look to deal with these pressures involved with the ever-increasing demands of your sport, as well as your schooling. So I'm going to involve a few cricket analogies with these as well, so hopefully they can make a little bit more sense, okay? So the first one we've got is prioritising, all right? Now, you'll often hear a coach tell you to stick to your game plan, or to know your game plan inside out. Basically, prioritising is your game plan, and knowing what you're really good at, knowing what you enjoy, knowing what you love doing. And essentially, this is going to help you with your decision making as you go along, and as you progress through the years. So it's going to help you identify, all right, what do I need to do versus what do I want to do? I need to have this assignment finished by 4 p.m. tomorrow. or I want to go and play basketball and shoot hoops with my mates. Little different things like that. If you know your priorities and what you enjoy and what you really want to achieve, then this will help make decisions for you. So what I want you to do now is just write down in your notebook, what are your priorities? Okay, so what do you actually want to spend your time doing? This may be being involved with your cricket team as much as possible. It may be doing your guitar lessons, whatever it may be. Try and think maybe 3, 4, or 5 examples of things that you want to prioritize your time towards. Once you've had a go at that, it's something that we can look to eventually build goals towards, something that we're going to look in towards in week 4. Okay, so what we want to be able to do is, over the next 4 weeks, understand what we're really good at, understand what we enjoy, and try and shoot you off into the season with some goals in mind, and we're going to help you set them later on. So essentially a goal is basically just dreams with a deadline, okay? So it gives you tasks to be able to tick things off and complete, and hopefully work towards what you ultimately want to achieve, okay? Moving on. My second point, which isn't popping up just yet. There we go. Second one is time management. Okay, so time management, a lot of cricket coaches will tell you to wait for the right ball. Okay, time management is, life can sometimes become a bit of a juggling act with whatever we're doing, especially seeing some of our academy members this season. It's a lot of bouncing around from activities after schools. It's all sorts of activities as well. Time management is how you can navigate your way around your week or around your month, and make sure you've got that time to do whatever is important and to do whatever you need to do. So the reason time management is so important is that we can sometimes unintentionally ignore things that really require our attention and our focus. And that's not to say that we're sweeping things under the rug. It's more so because we're so busy. It's really hard to keep up with so many tasks, because it's really hard to keep up and give your best at everything. But managing your time and making sure you're on top of that is going to ensure that you don't really get stuck. Okay, and if you ever get stuck, which is something that happens a lot of the time, it still happens to me day to day, you've got to ask yourself, all right, what's my next best move? What's something I can do right now that's going to help me tick off this task and get it done? And what that'll help you do is forget about the past and, all that dwelling you're doing about time you've wasted or, things you haven't achieved yet. And it's going to bring you into the present. So it's going to bring you into now. And it's going to focus your attention on this one thing, which is the only thing that matters, really. It's also going to make you not stress about the future and worry about the future. Okay, so that's something that can be really common. Something that will help with this, or a way I like to go about it with time management, is each evening I have an activity plan. So Tuesday and Thursday nights during cricket season is purely for my cricket and for me to work on my game. And then I know that Monday and Wednesday nights I'm going to leave for my study, my university, my courses that I need to complete, and that is the time allocated. So it means I don't swap them up. It makes it pretty simple, and it just spells out the time for you to be able to complete these activities. Okay, moving on. Hopefully we're taking a few notes as we go. Third one's about to pop up. It's all about doing the extras, okay? So going above and beyond and just knowing that the job is never really complete, okay? There's always more you can be doing, and maybe just keep in the back of your mind that if you think you're working hard, there's probably someone out there who's, dare I say, working just as hard, but maybe harder than you, okay? So try and use that as a little bit of motivation to push yourself to that next level. To really motivate you to keep going and keep getting the best out of yourself. And if you're always doing the extras, it's actually going to increase your average output. So you're going to get used to it, and your performance as a result is going to increase from there, okay? As well, doing the extras is a really good opportunity for leadership positions, or it actually inspires others to do more, okay? So in that regard, it's a really good way to set the example, and I'm sure some of your role models or some people in your support network in your life will be doing the same, and will be doing the extras. Number 4 is reward yourself. Okay. So a lot of cricket coaches will tell you to cash in when you're doing well. Make sure you cash in because you're doing well, you've accomplished something, and rewarding yourself is a really important aspect of your life that actually needs attention. So you want to make sure that if you have achieved a personal best, or if you have ticked off a goal, or made an accomplishment, you want to actually set some time aside to reward yourself and to make sure that you can switch off and relax. It's a really important thing because we can't be going full throttle all day, every day. It'll actually mean that we eventually crash or dip off with our output and our efficiency. You want to make sure that to give your best, you still need some time to chill out. So maybe just in the comments section below, let us know like one of your hobbies you like to do outside of cricket or outside of sport, because that's a really important part of your day to day that's going to keep you getting through. Are there any coming through, Hamo?
Yeah, we got heaps. Footy, violin, martial arts, play with your cat, go flying, riding, guitar, flute, drawing, piano, drums, listen to music, footy, surfing, tennis, boxing, guitar.
That's fantastic.
Piano, walk the dog, reading, working out, eating. Awesome.
That's super. I know yours, Hamo, is probably playing the guitar or listening to music. Another
Absolutely.
another famous Australian cricketer, Shane Watson. He would take a guitar with him everywhere he went on tour around the world, and he'd just strum on his guitar late night in the hotel whenever he was feeling those pressures, or whenever he was missing home, or whenever his attention was dragged away from what he wants to be doing, and that helped him keep on track. So rewarding yourself is a really big thing. Make sure you cash in. Number 5, the 5 Ps. Okay, so when that does pop up, the 5 Ps is prior planning prevents poor performance. Okay, what this is all about, and a coach might tell you as a bowler, bowl to your field. Okay, if I've got a plan, I'm going to try and stick to that plan and execute that plan. That's all I've got to do. Okay, trying to anticipate what's ahead and be one step ahead of the game. That's really going to help you with whatever you're doing, whether it's in the classroom or out in the cricket field. You need to be ready for what you're going into. Don't just think, okay, I'm going to go in and wing this, because it never really works out the way you want it to. There was a famous educator, Edgar Dale. He had a theory, and he had a rule that he lived by with his work, that basically students will remember and take in 10% of what they read, 50% of what they hear and see, 70% of what they say and write, and 90% of what they do. Okay, and obviously doing is combining all of those things. Doing is reading, doing is hearing, seeing, saying, and writing. It's a combination of all those things. So really, the more you can do, the better prepared you can be, the much better off you're going to be in any regards, whether you're going in to open the bowling in a final, or if you're sitting in a final exam. Okay.
What are the 5 Ps again, Seba? We've got a few questions and
comments. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Prior planning prevents poor
performance.
It's a good one to live by, Ham. And now moving on, I just want to try and give you guys a few ways that you can actually go through those in your day-to-day lives. Really, really achievable tasks you can do to try and tick off those 5 major aspects of your life, okay? So it's your turn now to really think about how this applies to your situation. Everyone's going to be in a different situation. Some kids will be playing higher grade rep cricket, maybe senior cricket, and some will just be starting out and, in a younger year level at school, and that's fine. But if anything's rung a bell so far for you, or if anything really speaks out to you, make sure you think about it, and now we can implement something and really address that, okay? So the first one was to do with priorities, right? Priorities, as I mentioned, a really good way you can get your priorities right is to set goals, okay? Goal setting is something that's it's so valuable in any part of your life. And again, all comes back to the mighty diary and pen, okay? If you've got your goals set, they're always there. You can always fall back on them. They can remind yourself and give you that confidence to go through with them, okay? We'll go into that in depth in week 4, when we're really finished the program and we're feeling more advanced. We know how to set them, but it's maybe a good time to think about, okay, well, what do I actually want to achieve? Whether it's sporting or schooling or both, whatever part of your life it is, it's a good time to think, all right, where do I see myself going? And a good way to do that is try and think of where you'll be in 3 years' time. Okay, think if everything goes well, if everything goes to plan, if, in a perfect scenario, where will I be in 3 years' time? We can start setting goals from there, okay? And the goals, again, are just those dreams with deadlines that you can tick off as we go along, okay? Number 2 is, in terms of time management, having a weekly schedule or even just a daily routine that you can stick to. It doesn't mean that it's absolute gospel and that if you don't do it, you're going to have a bad week or you're going to have a bad day. But it's just a little guideline to keep you on track. And when you do complete these things, they give you a really good sense of achievement. So Fitzy's weekly challenge is probably the perfect example of this. Just a little morning and evening routine to do every day that's going to put a smile on your face, make you feel good, and it's going to make sure that when you are trying to achieve your goals or when you are trying to complete a task, you're going to be enjoying it and in a really good frame of mind to do so, okay? So another thing you could do is just leave a calendar up in your room and cross off the days as they go along, especially if you've got events coming up and little things like that, okay? Something to keep in mind. Number 3 I had down here. Hopefully we're keeping up with a few notes. This is one I actually really enjoy. It's sacrificing a privilege, okay? So whether that's like a form of entertainment or maybe a type of junk food or something like that, sacrificing a privilege that you have in your life is going to help you appreciate your surrounds and appreciate everything that you've actually got going on for you as it is. And it's going to give you a little bit of perspective, okay? So it's going to help you challenge yourself and push yourself further from that. A little one you could try is maybe giving up fizzy drinks or soft drinks for a month, especially while we're in lockdown. Maybe you want to look after yourself and get fit, whatever it may be. But just giving something up for a time and showing how much, achieving these goals really does mean for you. Number 4 is, again, rewarding yourself. So giving yourself a little tradition to stick by. Once you've completed or achieved a goal, there's really no purpose of it if you're not actually going to celebrate your wins and if you're not going to go out there and think, all right, I've achieved that, I feel really good about myself. If you can use a bit of positive reinforcement and actually reward yourself, you're going to be much more likely to reset your goals and go around again and actually try and raise the bar next time, okay? So if you wanted to hit 300 runs this season and you did it, maybe mum or dad might buy you a new pair of gloves, or maybe you might get a treat at Macca's, or, if you guys have won the grand final, whatever it may be. I'm certainly not saying that's a suggestion. That's up for interpretation, maybe a conversation you can have with your parents. But if you're really achieving things and ticking your goals off, you should be able to look back on that and reflect and say, you know what, I'm pretty proud of that. And that's going to help you better yourself and go again. Okay, last one, number 5, is definitely don't wing it, okay? So if you've got something coming up, you need to prepare for it. Don't just think, oh, it'll be right, I'll see how it goes. Actually give your best and really knuckle down and try, revisit and review all those things you've thought about. Maybe if you've got that diary, review all that hard work you've done, whether it's in the nets, or whether it's in the classroom and it's your notes. Have a think about all that hard work you've done, and that's actually going to fill you with a lot of confidence coming into an event. That's actually going to fill you with a lot of confidence to be able to go through and deliver on that. And at the end of the day, my last point is just know that at this stage in your life, wherever you are, you've never been more prepared, you've never been smarter, you've never been stronger, you've never worked harder, you've never been more mature than you are at this current point in time and this point today. So hopefully you're able to think about that, put things into perspective and really gather a bit more of a life balance and not just think, look, I'm going to either go 100% with my studies or 100% with my cricket. You can certainly juggle things and make sure that you've got time for everything so that at the end of the day, you can still achieve your best, have the peace of mind and get the best out of yourself with with whatever you are doing. Okay. So I hope you've got a few notes and thought about things as we go along for you. If you do have any questions, or Ham,
we've got some. Yeah.
If anything's been coming up in the Q&A box or in the Facebook comments,
We've got heaps.
On. Any ones that stand out, Hamo, or any that are very relatable?
Yeah. So, where are we? I'm at a stage where we don't know what we are good at or what we thoroughly enjoy. How do we prioritise?
Okay, interesting. Well, basically that's a really good setup for a strength and weakness identifier. So that's in terms of cricket. In terms of your life, you've just got to think about the things you enjoy most. It can be really simple things like hanging out with my brother, or going for a walk after school, or hanging out with my mates at school, or it can be something a little bit more complex like solving mathematics problems or little things like that. What you want to be able to do is think about what you want to be able to fill your days with that really give you the most enjoyment. Okay, so hopefully that gives you more of an idea around how you can have an idea of what your priorities are. That was a good question.
Very good. I'm just looking through. Yeah. Okay, here's one from Adams Katakayam. How do we stick to our guidelines?
How do you stick to your guidelines? Again.
So I'm presuming the guidelines of what you're setting within your own plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, probably the simpler we try and keep this, the better. So what I have, and that's not something that's going to work for you essentially, but what I have is a little list that I hang besides my bed, and it's all the things I want to fill my day with or fill my week with and make sure I tick off. And so at the end of each day, I'll go to that list. It's just a little bit of piece of paper on my wall, and I'll just put a little tick next to the activity I did it. So if it's socializing and I went and saw a mate for whatever reason, I'll tick that off. If it's working on my cricket and working on my game, I'll tick that off. That's a really good way to do it. At the end of each day, just to reflect, sit down, stop, and think, you know what, I actually fit heaps in today, and I did those things off. So it's a good way to be accountable around that. Great question.
Absolutely. This one from Adam Eastgate. What do you think the best way to deal with peer pressure? When your friends want you to go do something, but you know you have something that is more important and you need to prioritise. Any advice?
That is a fantastic question. And that's probably a concept.
And Jacob Lanyon got a similar one on Facebook.
That's really good, guys. That's probably a concept I didn't grasp until I was maybe 18, 19, 20, much, much later on from where you guys are. Essentially, your priorities will make the decision for yourself. Okay. So it's a hard concept to grasp, but if you're so set on this one thing, I'm not sure what it may be in your case. Maybe if you need to finish this assignment for school or something, or if you need to attend this cricket training or this rep trial, but your mates are hanging out at a pool party, and you want to do that, but you probably need to do this. What you need to do is what you should stick to. Okay, so I can understand it's really hard to say no to certain things and no to certain opportunities, but sometimes it's the way you actually say no. Sometimes you say, look, sorry guys, I can't hang out today. I'd love to do it another time, but I have this really important cricket training that I've been dedicating myself for. And basically, if you do that for yourself and you put yourself to that, no one's ever going to have a go at you trying really hard and giving your best. No one's ever going to put you down. And if anything, people will applaud you when you do actually find some success or achieve something. So try and keep that in the back of your mind. It's not, sometimes it's about the way you say no to things. But if you're being ethical the whole time and you're sticking to what you really know you need to do, then the decision makes itself. Great question.
Yep, I've got two good ones here. Siddharth Basu has said, what do we do when we have rep trials happening and also have all of his assignments at the same time. Coach is telling me to train, my parents are telling me to study. And then this probably goes in with it, Abby Harvey, how do I find time to complete homework while training daily?
Fantastic. This is probably the biggest dilemma for young kids. And I understand that there are probably a lot of voices around you guys. There are a lot of people giving you heaps of advice. And that's why I've tried to leave this a little bit open, because it's up for interpretation. And if you're curious about it, you still want to achieve your best, you're going to be able to develop your own way to do it. So one thing to keep in mind is your parents can tell you things because it's in your best interests. So while it may not be the most fun advice or the things you want to hear, maybe they're telling you to do your chores or they're telling you you need to do your homework. It's simply because they've been in your shoes and they know what you need to do, the things you need to tick off to be able to, take that next step, wherever it may be. So while you want to probably knock that away, definitely listen to your parents. They were certainly still are and have been my biggest role models and supporters throughout. They're the most important people in your life, and you've got to be able to listen to them and take that into account, right? So think about what your parents are saying. And I'd think if you're struggling with rep trials as well as homework, have a think about your time management and have a think about your weekly schedule, right? So as I said before, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be gospel, okay? You don't have to stick to every hour and to every moment and 100% do this thing. It's probably going to have to be flexible throughout the year. So for me, for example, I know my weekly schedule is going to be a lot different during pre-season than to during, say, exam time, okay? I know that those things are going to be really different. So you've got to be flexible with your schedule, and then think about what you're actually filling your day with, because there is a lot of time in the day. But if we can make sure our time management is right, you're going to be finding time to do the things you need to do rather than what you want to do. So maybe you need to get rid of something you want to do. For example, during exams, I will deactivate my Netflix account because I know I want to watch 3 shows at night and waste a bit of time, but that's precious time for doing things you probably need to be doing. So well done on being on the front foot with that, because that's probably your biggest dilemma at the moment.
Yeah, and then Aidan Edgecombe's come in similar with a few other people as well. James McLaren on Facebook, and it's all the same thing. I reckon this will be the last question, but summarising it. But yeah, basically you've got 24 hours in a day, don't you, Seb? So try to think about the time that you can use it for. I challenge everyone in here is, you say you're always, we've always got cricket on every day. Can you do some of that in the morning? Can you go and do some running in the morning before school at 7 o'clock or 7:30 before you get to breakfast, and then have breakfast and go to school? You can do your assignments, or even, it says here, play computer games. Can I do that? Can I still go and have fun? Can I still have, junk food as a treat? Yeah, we're not saying you can't do anything. You can do whatever you want. Should I prioritise this over this? It's your perception, but at the end of the day, even the best cricketers in the world still, they still have to have something to fall back on, because very rarely does anyone make a living week and just not work for the rest of your life out of any sport or any important aspect of your life. But at the same time, use your time much more effectively and think of ways and in blocks. We're talking about 20 or 30 minutes here, which we're basically on now, but we allocate this time, you devote your time to that, and then you can go off and do something else after that. So you split your time up a lot more wisely, I would be saying.
Exactly. And it's about...
Awesome. All right. Well, anything else, Seba, you can wrap it up?
Yeah, no, that's everything, mate. I think we've hit the nail on the head. Really appreciate the interaction, and just on that, it's about using that time efficiently. Just because you do set 3 hours to do your homework doesn't mean you actually do 3 hours of homework, and you probably waste a little bit of time in there. Maybe you can condense that into 1 hour and actually make it worth your while. But if you are in a position where you've got peace of mind and you're feeling good, you've set your goals, you're motivated, it's going to help you get the best out of yourself in any situation. Okay, so hope that sort of reinforced a few ideas you have, and just gives you a bit of confidence to think, all right, I've got a lot going on in my life. I've got a lot of options here. It's all out in front of me over the next 5 or so years and hopefully beyond, wherever you guys do go. But I think it's good to start to get the ball rolling and think about how I can actually go about juggling these things. So that was a really good conversation, and thanks for interacting, guys.
Perfect. Great start, Seba. Awesome work.